This is the Skyloong GK75 CNC case kit. It's priced at $179 and this keyboard kit has 4 knobs on it. Yes, you heard me correct, it has 4 knobs in total, but before we take a look at the keyboard, here's what is included in the box. You get a very detailed and colorful manual that is fully in Chinese, but if you can't read Chinese, don't worry, there's also a more simplified manual in English included. A Type-C to C cable that is braided and in this red and black colorway, and it also comes with a Type-C to Type-A adapter at the end. It even has an aviator connector in the middle and comes with a coil tool, and this is overall pretty good in my opinion. For me, I chose the blue and pink keycaps for my build, so there is some left over here and some extra keycaps as well. Also included is a split spacebar layout for the keyboard, a standard 2-in-1 switch and keycap puller, a bag including a few washers and extra screws just in case you lose the ones already installed, 2 extra knobs which are a different design from the ones on the keyboard, a really cute Skyloong C to A adapter here with a little graphic on it, 2 extra switches in case you don't want to use 4 knobs on the keyboard, and of course you get the keyboard itself. The keyboard comes with a custom plastic cover with the Skyloong logo so you can keep your keyboard clean when you're not using it. And if you're curious about the weight, the total weight here that I got is around 1.2 kgs with the final build. So here is the GK75 and the top case here is fully CNC aluminum in this bluish finish. And of course you can see the 4 knobs here on the right side and the split spacebar layout that is supported here. Overall the keyboard does feel very solid and premium. This is the side profile of the keyboard and you get to see the CK5 profile keycaps here which are pretty weird but interesting, and the 4 knobs on the other side which looks pretty cool. There's no logo on the front and at the back, but you do get 3 routing holes here which I'll explain later. The bottom case is this opaque ABS material and you have 2 height adjustable feet here which can adjust the keyboard angle from 4 degrees to 7 and 10 so you can dial in which is the best that suits you. There's also 5 non-stiff rubber feet here to keep the keyboard in place, and the 3 holes here previously mentioned are actually just for you to route your cable through to the Type-C connection port at the daughter board. And the 2.4 GHz dongle is also tucked in here as well, so there is a spot for it. In the center are the switches for the keyboard, so you get the mode toggle switch here and the Windows and Mac OS switcher as well. With the keyboard turned on, here is what the RGB looks like on it, and it is pretty bright and saturated, and even at the knobs here you can see they have RGB as well. There are already a few RGB modes built in so you can cycle through them with the keyboard function, but you can also customize it more with the software that you can get from their website. Alright, so with the design of the keyboard covered, let's move on to the keycaps. The keycaps used here are CK5 profile, and to me it is similar to CSA profile keycaps but slightly taller. They are pretty weird in my opinion, I'm not really used to them, but the PBT material used here is decent and the double shot here for the legends are sharp and clear. It does take some time getting used to it, but I still don't like it after a few days of use, to be honest. The switches I have here are the Skyloong Glacier Rose switches, which are tactile with an operating force of 55 grams, and it also comes pre-looped from the factory. Inside is also a 2-stage spring for a better response, and overall feels pretty smooth with a really nice tactile bump. The PCB on the GK75 here is 5-pin hot swap, so it's easy to swap out switches, but it is north facing, so that is a little bit disappointing for some people. On the other hand, the plate mounted stabilizers here are pretty good. They come pre-looped and don't really rattle when typing. I'm not so sure what loop they use here, but they seems to get the job done, so there's no complaints from me. Now let's quickly cover the knobs on the keyboard. So the top part here can be removed like a keycap, and you can swap it out with different styles like the one given. This is how the inner part looks like, and it does look like a switch, to be honest, with a little weird thing in the middle. And to cover this module more, we actually have to tear it open. So I'm going to disassemble the keyboard so we can take a look inside. And to do that, all the knobs on the keyboard have to be removed first, and there's 2 screws holding the case in place, which are under the height adjustable feet. After that, the top case can just pop out because it is connected in place with some magnets. So here is the top part of the case, which is fully CNC aluminum. And over here is where you can see all the slots for the knob that can be unscrewed if you want to install normal switches instead of these. Here are the magnets previously mentioned, and they are pretty strong and hold the case in place. And the magnets attach here to the bottom part of the case, as you can see one of the magnets here. Okay, moving on to remove the plate from the case, there are a few more screws here to unscrew first. I would recommend that you remove all of the keycaps and switches to make this process easier, but I do it like this to make the assembly process faster for me. So there are 3 cables in total here connecting to the PCB, so you do have to be careful before taking it out. First, remove all of the cables safely. Here is the bottom case, and it comes with a piece of case foam that covers the battery, the daughter board, and the wireless module here. Moving on to the plate included, it is polycarbonate, but with the screws installed, it doesn't really flex a lot. In between the plate and the PCB is Skyloong's own design called the light gasket, which is basically a silicone plate foam and film combined, and it helps to dampen the sound effectively. The spacebar here can support a normal 6.25U spacebar or a split spacebar, and I think they sent me a wrong replacement kit because they are both the same. The back of the PCB houses a lot of chips here, and for the hot swap sockets, they are using CIY sockets, and from my experience, they are pretty good. Alright, with everything removed, now we can access the knobs easier. In total, you get 4 knob units here, and they can be removed just like the switches here, just like they are hot swap. And this is what the unit of the knob looks like. The middle part here is actually for the knob, so this is basically where the rotation happens. And on the bottom, there are 4 pins here that does resemble a design of a switch, as you can see. But you can't just plug this into any of the switches here, only supported sockets can be used. So if you look closely on the PCB, the sockets that support the knob here have these 4 golden pins here to connect to the knob unit as previously mentioned. So on this PCB, there are in total 6 sockets that support this kind of knob, 4 here on the right, the F12 key, and the escape key on the PCB. Honestly, it's really interesting to see this kind of innovation, and in theory you can have in total 6 knobs on your keyboard if you really wanted to. Alright, with the specs and the details of the keyboard thoroughly covered, here is the typing sound test of the keyboard with 4 knobs. Okay, here are my final thoughts on the Skyloong GK75. To be honest, I really like this keyboard. I love the tech behind it, like the magnetic case and the hot swappable knobs included. I think it is a really interesting concept, but for $180 it can be quite expensive for most people. And there's nothing really special except for the knobs on it, so if you are interested in the Skyloong GK75 CNC keyboard kit, links will be provided in the description below so you can check it out. And thanks to Skyloong for this review unit here. And that wraps it up for this video. Leave a like if you enjoyed it, dislike it if you didn't, and remember to subscribe. And for the meantime, you can watch my other videos here.